My stepson, he created fake bruises on his hand just to lie to his dad and told him that I hit him. I would never, ever lay my hands on him, but my husband believes him because that's his kid. And now I'm in the doghouse because I'm not sleeping in the bed, I'm on the couch, and I'm about to go to my mom's place because this is ridiculous what I'm being accused of, and you won't believe why this little brat did it. What's up, guys? I'm in shambles. Sorry to start this post so abruptly, but I'm out of my mind right now because of my 13-year-old stepson. I don't know what to do. His name is Ryan, and he's been giving me a very tough time since I got married to his father, Gerald. And it's been hell dealing with all of it, but still. I tried to be as empathetic as possible, but after what's happened today, I think you might just have set my marriage on the course for a divorce. Let me back up a little. Sorry, I need to give you a lot of context. My name is Vienna, and I'm 38 years old, working as an IT professional. I got married to Gerald 3 years ago, after we met through a mutual friend at her wedding. We both have always had a very mature, steady, and calm relationship. The only concern that he had before marrying me was that I have a good relationship with his son, Ryan, because he meant the world to him. Which was, understandable, of course, and easily doable because I had met his son and loved spending time with him. We shared a common interest in jazz, specifically. So we got married. Just a week into me living with Gerald, Ryan started behaving very aggressively towards me. When I served him food, he would flick the plate off my hand and everything spilt. After a few days, he refused to eat the food I made. And whenever I got back from work, he would run up to the bathroom and sit there for hours just so I could not use it. He started speaking to me with foul words and showing me a lot of attitude for nothing. I was really confused by this behavior suddenly, but I also knew that even if he had been a good friend to me till now, I was still replacing his mother's place in his life, according to him. And I was sure after we actually got married, things must have gotten much more real for him. So I did not make it a big deal as he was just a kid. So since we bonded over music, I gifted him a vinyl set with 10 vinyls of the Beatles. I went all out on the gift because I wanted him to know I'm still his friend and not trying to take his mom's place. But then it broke my heart when this happened. He kicked and broke the vinyl set with his baseball bat. I burst out crying when that happened because I was really, really hurt and I can't explain. I understood it was all new to him, but what bad had I done to him for him to be so brutal? It took me a whole night just to move on from the incident because it was all new for me. And I was trying my best to make peace without telling Gerald anything because I didn't want Ryan to feel like I ran up to his father crying like a crybaby just to complain about him. That would have only pushed him further away. I was sure that it was all a matter of time and patience and he would come around. Well, that's how kids are. But then his actions started getting even more outrageous. You guys, he keyed my car. I was leaving for work one morning and I saw a huge obscene drawing on the front of my car of a woman wearing skimpy clothing and below it a text that said, "I am a trophy wife." When I saw that, I swear my blood rose in anger. I know that was a very dramatic way of phrasing it, but that was the extent to which I felt enraged at the moment. This 13-year-old kid had keyed my car with such an extremely obscene, vulgar, and unbelievably deranged illustration. I'm sorry. My empathy does have limits. I was anyway stressed out because I was late for work. And this is the kind of crap I have to deal with this morning. I almost dialed my husband, but I stopped myself because I could not let that kid think that he got under my skin. But I still had to make him understand that consequence of it, of what he had done, and that if he had done such bad things, he would have to make up for them. Well, I went to work on a bus that day and decided to deal with it later. When I arrived home, Gerald was sitting with Ryan in the kitchen. I hugged Gerald and ignored Ryan, after which I went into my room. The next morning, I told Gerald that Ryan's screen time was really high, and I showed him some articles saying kids should not use phones before they turn 16. He got really concerned and decided to take Ryan's phone away, telling him how dangerous it was for him to use it. As expected, he threw a really big tantrum and started crying and lying on the floor. It was really funny to witness, if I'm being honest. Gerald said to me in front of him that he would not use the phone again until his 16th birthday, and that if he ever insisted, I should just tell him. Ryan passed this very loud, piercing look at me, which was a little too much for a 13-year-old, but I ignored it. And the next week, Ryan started talking to me very arrogantly, asking me to tell him where his father had hidden his phone. I didn't say a word. He was so relentless that there came a point where he started pretending to be all nice and apologetic towards me. He thought he was smart and that a 13-year-old could mess with me. I told him all these tricks were not going to work on me, and anyway, I had no idea where he had kept the phone. His tantrums grew even bigger, and he started screaming and crying. And there came a point when he tried to push me. I was really mad, but I still did not do anything. I just went into my room and slammed the door. I stayed there for a couple of hours while Ryan constantly kept just barging the door open. But I didn't open it. Right before Gerald was about to get to him, I came out of the room and started prepping for dinner. The moment he entered, Ryan barged out of his room and ran up to him crying and screaming again. Gerald was completely shocked and worried as to what happened and kept asking me, but I didn't know what to tell him. And that's when Ryan told Gerald that I slapped him behind his back. He lied, saying that I hit him when he was the one going around keying my car and being so aggressive and hostile. Even after, which I didn't say anything to Gerald. This little homewrecker literally told my husband I hit him. I confronted this accusation with literally everything in me. And I practically begged Gerald to believe me, but of course Ryan was his kid, and according to him, he had no reason to lie to him. Guess what? This kid was so evil that he had even made a fake bruise on his arm. Who would not believe him? I mean, I cried my eyes out and begged Ryan not to lie, but Gerald was past convincing. He was completely silent and was constantly sympathizing with Ryan. That's when the bell rang at a very odd hour. I opened up the door and it was Ryan's mother, Cindy, also my husband's ex-wife. She pushed me aside and barged into the home straight towards Ryan. I was confused and honestly terrified at this point, because I had no idea what was happening, and right the second I knew things were about to get so much worse. Turns out Ryan called her earlier to come home and save him from me. I don't even have the energy to go into the details of what happened after that, but all you need to know is that whatever Gerald was feeling was amplified by 1,000. You know, she started saying things like she always knew I was a dangerous person, or to be brought home that her poor son had done nothing to deserve this. She was actively blaming Gerald for bringing me into the home, and so close to his son when I was so dangerous. I didn't think Gerald would get swayed so easily by all of this, especially when he had told me she had a history of lying and manipulating. Cindy and I got a major verbal fight, and we both started screaming at one another. And I kept trying to tell them Ryan was lying, but that only seemed to make things worse. It was such an ugly situation for me. That's when Gerald stood up and screamed. When I tell you I was mortified because I'd never seen him like this before. He completely refused to listen to me or believe me and asked me to, quote, get out of the house. I'm crying as I'm typing this right now. I mean, this happened 2 days ago and he has not even called to check where I went or if I'm safe. I've not done anything to deserve this, and I begged him to believe me, but he was just so blindly agreeing that he kicked me out. I understand that the thought of me hitting his son must have been devastating for him to hear, but how he so blindly chose to believe him was beyond me. Like, did he not trust me at all? To what extent am I supposed to be understanding when it all does its harm? I could have easily ratted Ryan out to him, but I didn't because I wanted to have a relationship with him, and look where it got me. I'm staying at my sister's house right now while she's on vacation in Europe. And you know what? Cindy has been staying at our house for 2 days because apparently her son is traumatized and needs his mom by his side. Such conniving little rat. Nothing has happened to him, nobody hit him, and now I'm really worried that since they were both married once and now they're again staying in the same home at a time when my husband is emotionally available, what if Cindy takes advantage of that and something goes on and happens between them? Physically? Ugh, my head has been spinning like crazy thinking about all this, and I feel like I can't move. I have no idea what to do, and I should have just told Gerald the truth. Please help me, guys. I don't know what to do. My life is in absolute shambles right now. Update number 1. Hey guys, I'm back with some updates after a week. Although I'll keep to this short because I'm literally in the middle of a storm. I'm back at my house and I'm writing this from the bathroom because I sort of urgently need to know if what I just did was a little too dramatic or should I say impulsive. Well, are you ready for this? To Ryan especially. I don't even have the time to respond to your comment right now, but I saw there were some supportive ones and I'm just personally so glad and grateful that so many of you are part of my story with me. Okay, so last night, I came back to my house for my sisters. Gerald opened the door in a very hostile manner and asked me to leave because Ryan was still reeling from what happened. Such a drama, this kid. I said that I would be happy to retreat to my room and not come out, but he could not just kick me out of the house because it's my home too, and we're married. I also told him that I did not hit him, and he's simply choosing to believe his son, but that does not make me wrong. He had no choice but to let me in. Cindy saw me and passed looks, but I could care less. Ryan was in his room, I guess, and I heard Gerald and Cindy whispering something about me, but I was too tired and irritated to care. I found that they were at least not sleeping in the same room, which was a huge relief. I went to sleep after this, and when I woke up this morning, I went to the kitchen to make breakfast and Ryan was there. He didn't know I was back and was really shocked to see me. I thought he would throw a fit or start crying, but instead he just ran up to his room. He came back down after like half an hour crying, and he ran up to Gerald saying, "Dad, she hit me again last night and told me not to say anything, or you and she would hit me again." And I stood there completely blank watching all this unfold because truly, what the hell? He, again, had some very drastic marks on his arm and his neck, as if somebody had hit him with a baseball bat. Gerald was hysterical, and he looked at me with this scathing look and kept hugging Ryan as he pretended to cry. I was so done at this point. I wasn't even fazed by all the drama anymore. Then, right on cue, Cindy also ran downstairs and joined the hysterics. They both started screaming at me, and I just stood there blank. I snapped into reality, and I was like, I don't care about my relationship with this kid anymore if he keeps sabotaging my marriage because I also have a limit. I went up to my room, and they all stared at me clueless as to what I was doing. I brought down my makeup remover wipes and asked Ryan to show me his hand. As expected, Gerald and Cindy tried to stop me, but I looked straight at Ryan and asked him firmly to show me his hand. But he resisted a few times. Well, I then used a little force and grabbed his hand and wiped the makeup off. I showed it to Gerald and he was oh so confused. I wiped his arms and his neck too again and showed him that the bruises were fake as the makeup was coming off. He spent a good minute all confused and staring at the wipe, and when he looked at Ryan and Cindy with disbelief, I showed him the proof that Ryan had been lying and taunted him, saying, "Do you believe me now?" I also told him that he keyed my car with such an obscene drawing that I even smashed the vinyl player I got him. Ryan was completely silent. Gerald was shocked. His face was terrifying. I wish I could have shown you guys, if I'm being honest with you. I think Ryan must have felt really scared seeing his father like that. I don't know how was he expecting all this to end with all the misbehavior and lying. He started crying, and that's when I felt just bad because he is just a kid. This all-new marriage and stuff must have been so confusing for him, and he might not have known how to deal with his feelings. But then also, I don't know. I let him get away with a lot, and I mean a lot. I have no idea how to feel about all this, let alone deal with it. I feel really genuinely guilty that I ratted him out to Gerald like that. I could have just calmly told him about Ryan's behavior before things got out of hand, and we could have figured out a way to deal with it together. I also did things that were not the wisest, given Ryan is just a child. This is why I came to the bathroom, because my head was spinning, and I almost felt nauseous with so many overwhelming feelings. How do I fix this? I don't want Ryan and Gerald to fight, but I also can't let them step all over me. Guys, please help. I need just help to get out of the washroom now, but I'll still be able to read your responses. Please help. Update number 2. Hey guys, it's me and I am back. It's been 2 days since the entire fiasco, and I'm so glad you all responded to the update on time, because I would have lost my marbles. Anyways, I just wanted to tell you. Well, first of all, before I tell you all what's happened, I want to say truly thank you. I can't tell you how glad I am to have a safe place where I can unload like this. Because if you guys would not have chimed in on time, I would not be patient enough just to let Ryan tell the truth about everything. So, when I got out of the bathroom that time, Ryan was still crying and Gerald was sitting on the couch holding his head. Ryan walked up to him crying and started saying gibberish. But then he said things like, I did not want to do any of this. I did not want to lie. I didn't have to. I've been feeling so bad about lying. Cindy kept trying to stop him and pulling him and grabbing him, but then he screamed just so extremely loud at her and she got scared. He told his father that he had been feeling really bad about the lying. So Gerald asked him why he did it. Why did he even feel bad anyways? That's when he said that the day we got married, Ryan found Cindy crying in her room. And when he asked her why she was crying, she said Gerald cheated on her with me, and now they were going to get married. Her life is ruined, and I was the reason for it, so since that day he felt really bitter towards me, and him being a kid, he resorted to being mean towards me because in his head he was just protecting his mother. Can you believe this woman? She had been manipulating her own kid and ruined his mental health and childhood by putting him on some stupid revenge quest based on lies. Gerald did not cheat on her. These scheming, evil habits of hers are the reason he divorced her and why he was easily able to get Ryan's custody, as all of their mutual friends as well as her own family vouched for her demented behavior in court. Oh yeah, that's not it. When I got Ryan that vinyl set, he told Cindy, saying that maybe I was a good person and he liked me. This must have made her feel threatened, so guess what? She gave him the idea to key my car and filled his head with so much hate towards me. And since he's a child, he is really susceptible to anything anyone tells him, let alone his own mother. He had been doing all these disrespectful things because his mother had been feeding him lies. Oh yeah, the fake bruises too. I felt so bad for the poor kid and just so unbelievably angry at his mom. He came up to me crying, apologizing for everything, so I hugged him and told him that he had nothing to be sorry about. It was all his mother's fault, not his. Gerald was absolutely heartbroken and enraged. Cindy and him got into a huge, gigantic fight, and I took Ryan out of the house, and I took him for some ice cream and then to lunch, after which we came home. We really bonded that day, and I felt so good and relieved. When we reached home, Cindy was gone, and Gerald apologized to me like 1,000,000 times, crying and begging. I forgave him, but I also told him that I was really hurt with the way that he had treated me. He literally kicked me out of the house and did not even check up on me. He kept apologizing, saying I was right, but all he cared about at the time was that his son had been hurt. He had no idea his ex-wife would go to such deranged limits so as to use his own son against him. He told me that he had kicked Cindy out, telling her that Ryan would be much safer away from her and that he could not risk his son's upbringing and mental health leaving him, even for a second, which is why he was going to file for Ryan's full custody, since she had proven herself to be an unfit mother, so that she only gets to see him while Gerald is present. Or me. I feel so relieved now, not for myself, but for Ryan. The poor kid had been through way too much, and the only way to safeguard him now was to keep him away from Cindy as far as possible. I do feel a little threatened by Cindy, though, because she clearly wanted to drive me out of the house. And if she could use her own son to get me, I'm kind of worried what if she resorts to something even more drastic to harm me. I'll let you guys know how the custody trial goes. But now I'm thinking if I should get a restraining order or something against her. I don't even know this woman. I just wish she was not a part of our lives. Update number 3. Hey guys, this is going to be my final update. 6 months later, I could not find enough time to update you guys before this, but luckily this update will be full of good news. Well, somewhat. So, like I said, Gerald's filed for Ryan's full custody, as expected. Cindy found a way to make the entire process extremely tiresome and stressful. We tried to keep Ryan as far away from all of this as possible, as he was not much affected by anything, though. Cindy's cousin is a huge lawyer, and somehow they managed to cook up something nitpicky and false proofs against Gerald, claiming he was a bad father. Like, can these people just quit? This was my reaction. It's too boring to explain in detail, but basically they had manipulated some incidents and occurrences in the past to create false proof against Gerald. I genuinely thought Cindy would feel at least 2% remorseful about what she had done, but she did not. But since it was all fake, It ultimately did not hold up in court, and Gerald won Ryan's full custody. Cindy is now only allowed to contact or see him through me and Gerald, and she won't be permitted to see him outside our supervision. And to top it off, since she decided to bring out fake evidence, the court also gave her a huge penalty, which she had to pay Gerald a lot of money. I think it was like $40,000. She really got served. She begged the court not to do that because she did not have that kind of money, and she would go broke paying it. But the court said that she committed an offense, and she should have thought the consequences before she lied in front of the law. She called me many times after that and sent me these extremely aggravating texts and emails deeming me to be a homewrecker. Because, of course, such people are too self-involved to accept their own shortcomings and always just blame others for ruining their lives. I told her that if she did not stop calling and texting me, I would make sure she never gets to see her son again, since I also held his custody now as Gerald's wife. She had no option but to stop after that. Ryan, Gerald, and I have never been better. I signed Ryan up for guitar classes since he had always wanted to learn it, and he's getting better at it day by day. I also drive him to school every day since it was on my way to the office, and we talk so much on our morning drives that they have really strengthened our bond so much. Gerald and I are really happy with our lives now, that we're finally free from his deranged ex-wife. Things have never been better for me, guys, really. A part of me still feels that all of it still did take a huge toll on our family, and just because we're all past it now does not mean that Ryan will forget about everything instantly. These things stay with you as a kid until you grow up, and I really don't want his mother's bitterness and hatred to define who he grew up to be. Gerald and I have been discussing sending him to therapy to help him process the trauma that his mother caused him. Hopefully, he'll be fine. Rest is all good for now. Oh yeah, and you guys are a huge reason I was able to get here, because you're a big reason why I was able to process and deal with all the damaging things that Cindy did. I'm immensely thankful for you all. Anyways, I'll see ya. Bye for now.